Let's be honest. You've eaten thousands of cashews. They're in your trail mix, your stir fries, probably in your pantry right now. But I'm willing to bet you have never, not once, seen one in its natural shell. And there's a very good and honestly a pretty deadly reason for that.
I mean, really think about it for a second. You see walnuts, pistachios, even peanuts in their shells all the time. But the cashew? Nope, never. Why is this one nut the exception? Why does it always show up to the party completely naked?
Well, the answer is both simple and, yeah, a little terrifying. The reason you've never cracked open a cashew shell is because the cashew plant is, and I'm not kidding, actively trying to hurt you. This isn't just about a hard shell for protection. We're talking about straight-up biological, chemical warfare.
Okay, so to really get why, we have to start from the beginning. You see, the cashew, it just doesn't play by the same rules as other nuts. In fact, it pretty much breaks all of them.
You see, nature didn't put this prize in a simple box. A cashew doesn't grow inside a hard shell like a walnut, or in a pod like a pea. No, that would be too normal. It grows on the bottom of a fruit called a cashew apple. It seriously looks like some kind of weird alien appendage. This bright fruit with a single kidney-shaped seed just dangling off the end. It's like a biological glitch, a total afterthought.
And that little hitchhiker, that strange little seed, well, that's where the danger comes in. It's not just a nut, it's a booby trap, fully armed and just waiting for you.
And the weapon itself is, pretty nasty. That cashew seed is wrapped in a double shell that is just filled with a toxic oil called anacardic acid. Now here's the kicker. Chemically, it's almost identical to urushiol. That's the oil in poison ivy that gives you that horrible blistering rash. So if you tried to crack one of these open with your bare hands, you'd get some really severe chemical burns. Not fun.
And this is chemical warfare at its absolute finest. The cashew uses this acid to protect its precious cargo. And it's not alone. It's just like how an unripe papaya uses a latex that literally dissolves protein, or how cassava plants can release actual hydrogen cyanide. The cashew has evolved one heck of a potent defense.
So you have to wonder, right? How on earth did we ever figure out this was food? Well, the answer is basically one of history's most dangerous taste tests. A huge, high-stakes gamble taken by our ancestors.
Just imagine the trial and error. Some ancient human finds this weird-looking plant. They try to open the nut and get these awful burns, but they didn't give up. Eventually, some hungry, probably pretty desperate genius discovered that fire, roasting the nut just right, actually neutralizes the poison and unlocks the incredible food hiding inside.
And this is the same kind of brilliant thinking we see with other really complex survival foods. Take taro root. It's a staple for millions, but it's deadly poisonous if you don't cook it perfectly. Or the bottle gourd, which can develop a fatal toxin that has no antidote if it gets too ripe. It seems humans have always been willing to risk a painful death for a good meal.
So I've got to ask you, knowing it's covered in a chemical that acts just like poison ivy, would you have been the person to keep trying? To risk those burns for what might be inside? It's a pretty incredible gamble when you think about it.
Okay, so that ancient gamble has now evolved. Today, getting a cashew from that tree to your snack bowl requires it to survive a modern, industrial gauntlet.
First, they get carefully roasted to neutralize most of that toxic oil. Then comes the shelling, which is a genuinely hazardous job. It's often done by workers who have to wear heavy protection on their hands to avoid any of that residual acid. And after sorting, some cashews even get a final purification bath, an acid bath, just to be absolutely certain every last drop of that poison is gone before it gets to you.
But here it is, the wildest part of this entire story. After all of that work, all that danger, just to get the nut, it turns out the rest of the world has been throwing away what might just be the best part of the plant this whole time. Remember that cashew apple the nut hangs from? Well, in places like Brazil and India, that apple isn't waste at all. It's the main event. They use it to make this amazing juice, jam, even vinegar. The problem is, the fruit is so incredibly delicate and has such a short shelf life, it almost never makes it to the global market. It's basically a ghost fruit. When you step back and look at the whole picture, the cashew tree is just this incredible survival multi-tool for the tropics. You get a high-protein nut, nutritious juice from the apple, super resilient wood for building, and hey, even that toxic oil has its own industrial uses. It's the complete package.
So really, the takeaway is this. We've all been conditioned to only care about the dangerous, difficult-to-process nut. Meanwhile, entire cultures have been enjoying the actual fruit for centuries, while we've been eating what is essentially a cheap knockoff of the full cashew experience.
So let's just recap the sheer insanity of this for a moment. A seed that is technically poisonous, that hangs off the bottom of a ghost fruit that most of us will never even see, let alone taste, that has to be tamed by fire in a hazardous industrial process involving acid bats, has somehow become one of the most popular snacks on the entire planet.
When you really, truly stop and think about all that, now that's absolutely wild.